Never quit.
Right now, hard determination. Our time is now. Take advantage of it. Nobody can take us from us. We here right now. Let's get it in. Relentlessness. Who's gonna stop us? No one. Let's go.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Capital District Flag Football League action was unbelievable this past Sunday. However, the rain was very, very much a big part of the story as it rained throughout the entire day. Not very heavy, but just enough to cause some teams to not play their best ball and other teams to pull off some huge victories. As always, folks, I'm with my co-host, good friend, and soon-to-be married, Colin Maten.
That's how we roll up in here. Find a good woman, wife that good woman.
No.
Was that too hood for you?
That was too hood.
The wife in reference?
Right,
that
that was very Rotterdam.
Okay. No, I prefer Schenectady. That's how we do it in Schenectady. Schenectady. That's how we do neck style. For those of you that don't know about that, they necking.
Right. They learned that at GE.
But like you mentioned, we had some great games this weekend. The weather actually impacted quite a few of those games. A lot of teams weren't able to do what they normally do. And a lot of reporters who were planning to go out and watch the game who don't like the rain, they just didn't make it out that day. That'd be me.
Right.
But before we go any further, I'm going to give it back to Frank, and he's going to give us a couple of league announcements / suspensions.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. I understand you don't like water and you guys don't like to swim either.
No, I don't like rain.
Oh.
I don't like rain.
You don't like rain.
Right.
Okay, but you will swim?
Yeah, I'll swim.
As long as it's in a YMCA
I'll swim
setting?
and I'll shower, so water doesn't scare me.
All right.
I just don't like
It's got to
the
be
rain.
in a YMCA setting. There's no ocean swimming, is there?
Oh, hell no. No. Here's my philosophy on the ocean. If it's over my knee, it's too high for me.
Oh.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. I am not getting in the ocean. No. Over my knee, too high for me. You take that philosophy with you. Colin's philosophy on ocean swimming, you will not get bitten by sharks.
Okay, excellent. You guys are very salty, so I'm sure you taste good. All right, anyway, listen. Some announcements. Of course, we have the NFL Youth Flag Football League. It's going on pretty well now at Bleecker Stadium every Saturday evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Boys and girls, 5 through 11. And those the kids are having a great time. We're wearing the Miami Dolphin uniforms this season. And it is not too late to join if you want to come out to Bleecker Stadium. Again, that's Saturday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Suspensions, we will talk about that in the next segment. There are a few players that got a little too intense.
Got a little too hood.
Too gangster. Too gangster and hood, as Colin would say, one of Colonisms. I like that with the water. I thought that was a Colonism. I don't know if you picked that off from somebody else.
That's not a Colonism. That's just a Colin philosophy.
Philosophy. Don't get bitten by a shark.
That's true.
All right. Otherwise, we have the break coming up, Memorial Day weekend. All right. I'll be reporting from South Beach. And if anybody needs to find me, okay, just call me. I answer my cell phone immediately. All right, including emails. Otherwise, Colin, we've got the action in our paperwork. Big games to report on. Why don't you take the A Division and run with it?
Well, let's get right into our A Division scoreboard where we have Derricom F-Bombs 13-0 over the Bootleggers Crush. Our game of the day between two undefeated teams, Philly Bar and Grill Blaze, 12-7 victory over Lanies. Even though Lanies lost this game, they and Philly Blaze are still the two teams that many people think will make it to the Super Bowl. We'll see. Valenti's Panthers 16-14 over the Kohlers Lions. Gotbeer.com busts out with a 28-6 victory over Ralph's Tavern. Let's go to our A Division standings where we see at the top we've got the lone undefeated in the A Division, Philly Bar and Grill Blaze with a 5-0 mark. Side story, I went to Philly Bar and Grill Friday night for the first time ever.
Oh.
They have got the most phenomenal grilled chicken sandwich.
Wow.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Delicious.
Philly.
I may go back there this Friday just for that sandwich. It was delicious. The best I ever had. Good job, Philly Bar. You're a great sponsor, and you're a great sandwich maker to boot. Philly Bar and Grill out in Latham. You're welcome for that.
That was not an advertisement, folks.
No,
We're
it
just
was not,
mentioning
because we can't do advertisements. I'm just saying where I ate, and it was delicious. Back to the standings, we've got Lanies at 4-1 following the tough loss. GotBeer.com at 3-2. Ralph's Tavern and Kohler's Lions with Valeni's Panthers and Derricom F-Bombs all 2-3. And bringing up the rear in the A division is Bootlegger's Crush with an 0-5 mark. Now, Frank, I haven't had a chance because, as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't able to make it to this game. The weather situation was disastrous. Right. Have you heard anything about the back-and-forth nature of this game? The 12-7 would suggest it was one of those close-to-the-vest kind of games. Do you think that the weather slowed the track down for both teams where they couldn't get up and down the field like they usually do?
Well, I don't know how the Hoffman Park field play. I was in Schenectady on the grass, and it played very well, though. There was no slipping or sliding. It was just kind of that steady rain. Did not affect the play over there. What I want to do is hope that our insider, Laguerre, is it Laguerre or Legier? Legier, Rocco, will have some insight on that game. I know there's a report from one of the officials. I know it was a tight game, as you mentioned, by the score, but we're hoping that in the next segment he can give us a little more insight than I can. I have not heard any real details yet.
I think we're going to have to introduce him from every point here on. Rocco Legier Tobin?
Yes.
The first openly gay man in CDFFL.
Actually,
that's
Tobin
his title.
Legier. Tobin Legier.
Frick or frack, tomato, it don't matter.
Oh, wow.
That's his title.
Okay.
Rocco Tobin Legier, the first openly gay man in CDFFL history. We have to introduce him that way from now on. Okay. It shows that our show, we're all inclusive. We don't exclude anyone. We don't mock anyone for their preferences. We do mock them for a bunch of other stuff, but
right.
that's not one of them.
No.
So we have to show that as an inclusionary thing versus an exclusionary. Right. So that's his new intro every time.
All right. Colin's making this a little bit of a political show, but hey, that's okay. I mean, we're here to tell everybody that we're equal opportunity.
Look at the guns. Look at the definition right there.
Got the guns. That's just the TV.
That's back at the gym right there.
Not only
Rob Enoch, you don't got nothing on me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I said it.
All right, listen, standings-wise on the A division, I just wanted to bring up a couple points here. The fact that from 3 to 7, the teams are either 3-2 and 2-3. There's going to be a lot of movement going on as the last 3 weeks play out because the seedings are important. Yes, you do have to play everybody eventually to win a championship, but some teams match up better than others. As far as Philly Bar and Grill being 5-0, Lanies 4-1, they may just flip-flop. They may stay 1-2, but that's not going to move. So those two teams will not face each other into the final, and that's, of course, my prediction. Otherwise, Colin, that's how I see the A division thus far. And Lanies, as a matter of fact, has 120 points they've scored. That is not only number one, but it's 22 points more than their nearest competitor. So maybe the rain did affect them.
And that's why I asked that question. Yeah. Looking at their 120 points, that's obviously what they want to do is get up and down the field. But I think the track, it wasn't as you said, it wasn't too slippery, so they weren't slipping and sliding. But I think when it rained, it never rained really hard,
right.
But it rained really consistently.
Yeah.
So, and that may have had something to do with the field conditions, ever so slightly. It wasn't a hard torrential downpour, but it was more of a nuisance rain that it was just consistent throughout the day.
Absolutely. So that's how you have it there for the A division, folks. We get back into these, of course, when we bring on the next guest who is openly gay. So in the B division, I would use my PowerPoint scores, but they are from week 1 of some other year that Glenn sent me. I have no idea how that happened.
Good job,
The standings are correct. All the scores are incorrect.
He gets back on the winning track, and now all of a sudden he's too good to send you the right stuff.
Exactly. And he even ripped into me and my partner. That was not cool, Glenn.
Oh, gee. Always looking for somebody else to blame.
All right. Anyway,
leave my brother alone.
He had a good point.
Liar, halftime.
B division scores, folks. Park Pub 28, all in one, ticket 6. All right, all in one now on a 2-game losing streak. And that could be the end of that honeymoon we talked about last week, Colin.
Yeah, I think they're starting to get into the meat of their B division schedule. Their inaugural season, they're seeing that it's not all peaches and cream, as the old phrase goes.
Yeah. And then Sampson's Misfit Snipers 15, Predators 0. No big surprise there. Labatt Blue 12. The 41 Sports Bar Titans 6. Quite a game there. Those are 2 evenly matched teams, so that was a big game for those teams as far as seedings. Renegades 28-18 over Pure Image. Pure Image, not a great team you'll see in the standings, but I'll tell you, playing the number one undefeated team and doing that well, I don't think it was that bad of a game, Colin.
No, and they're a veteran team, like we mentioned before, so they know how to play. They got a lot of veteran guys on that team. They're one of those teams that if you sleep on them, and as evidenced by their standing so far, they're winless, but they're in every game, it seems like.
Yeah.
If you sleep on them, you're going to find yourself catching a big L in that game.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can keep this up and understand that at this point, probably the playoffs is not a realistic shot here, but they are building on something for the future, so we'll see how they play everything out for the rest of the regular season. The Tigers, 18-7 over the Heroes. Not so much of a surprise that they won that game. However, the Tigers, as you and I mentioned, Colin, hey, they're there. They're going to win these games now, and I don't see anybody beating them aside from maybe the Renegades and Samsons when it comes Super Bowl time.
You know, I like we said last week, I would love for that to happen, but I'm going to jump to the other team, the Heroes. They started off fantastic, 2-0, and now they're on a 3-game losing streak. So now it's time that they're realizing that, okay, maybe they took a year off to play. Some guys played with other teams. The majority of the team played in the C, and then they came back and reformed as the Heroes. Maybe they're seeing that maybe, just maybe, that jump right to the B division after that year off might not have been the best choice.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are supposedly B caliber based on their C division championship. So, I mean, some of these guys certainly can play at that level. It could be just a chemistry thing at this point, or play calling, or what have you, but it could be just the competition as well. All right, so we move on to the Rampage. I'll tell you what, this is the team that surprises me because these are the games you would think they would lose or at least come up short in some instances, but a 22-19 victory over the Warriors, they're winning the games they need to win.
Exactly. I always say an ugly win is a lot better than a pretty loss. These guys have some ugly wins, but what's that do when it comes playoff time where the games are tight? It teaches you, because you can draw back on that experience. You've got the know-how about those close games. You know what to do down the final stretch. You don't make those mistakes because you've been blowing teams out all the time. You win ugly, and that's a bonding for your team. I don't mind those games. Of course, I wouldn't want to have them every week. It seems like these guys do.
Right.
But they learn how to win, and they learn how to play together in those tight games. So I think it's good for them ultimately, but every so often you just want to have one of those games where it doesn't come down to the last couple of minutes.
No, I agree 100%. But they're doing a great job, and they're 4-1, as you'll see in the standings, and we'll go through their point differential as well. Bootlegger Chiefs get back on with the winning ways here. Mike Parrott's got them winning over the Rugged Rams, a really hard luck team, 27-14. And then the one surprise in my mind, well, maybe it's a surprise to you. This is not a surprise to me because I went out on a limb last week and told you to be very aware of Red Front. We talked about the Aztecs, how really this is a strong team, and they could go on a major run. But this Red Front team, 22-14 victory, 3 straight now after an 0-2 start.
And it just speaks to your point. And I think last week we were talking about the line play for Red Front. Close game like this, the line had to hold up. Whether they were creating running lanes or whether they were closing running lanes on the defensive side of the ball, the line play had to hold up in order for them to get this win. And we both thought it was going to be a good game last week.
Right.
It was one of those, the Aztecs along with Red Front, they're both veteran teams. They've got a nice mix of old and new on that team. But at the end of the day, we figured the line play would be the determining factor in a 22-14 game. That's one of those close to the vest. Like we had mentioned earlier, you get those close games come playoff time, you'll see the benefits of those.
Okay, and then we'll go to the standings, folks, and you'll see that on your screen. The Renegades in Albany are 5-0, looking really strong. They are second in offense only to the Rampage, and that's kind of what I was alluding to before. The Samsons, Misfit Snipers, and Rampage both 4-1, but the Rampage at 107.4 and 74 points against, which are only at 33. That goes to Colin's point that this team is winning these close games, but I'll tell you what, take the close games, take the victories at 4-1 with 3 to go. You are almost a lock for the playoffs. 4-4 could make it, but even if you win 1 out of your next 3, you're definitely going to be in at 5-3.
I concur.
Okay, that's our first concurring moment of the show. Park Pub 3-2 by themselves in 4th place in Albany. And then you have the Chiefs and Titans, both 2-3, along with the Heroes. So those 3 teams are definitely not out of it, but it's really going to come to which one of those teams or all 3 of them are going to step up to the plate in the last 3 weeks.
You know what's funny? The 2-3 teams, there's a good 2-3 and there's a bad 2-3. The Chiefs, we were pretty much writing them off for dead. They got off to the very slow start. The Heroes, we were giving them all kinds of props early on in the season. We were thinking they may be one of the playoff teams. How the season has shifted now. The Heroes, they were 2-0. I believe now they're 2-3. And the Chiefs, they're also 2-3, but they're on the come up, whereas the Heroes are on the backslide. So there's 2-3, and then there's the differences between the 2-3s. And not to leave out 41 Sports Bar, they've been kind of up and down all season. So they're right where you'd think they would have been. But the 2 that started off 2-0 and 0-2, now we see what's happening as the season progresses.
Well, and to go to your point, the Chiefs are at a -40 at 2-3, whereas the Titans are only a -4. So you can see the Chiefs are getting waxed when they lose, and they're only winning close when they win. The Titans, on the other hand, must be in each of these games because of their -4, and then the Heroes are actually a +7. So, I mean, these games go any way depending on the day and how many points are being thrown up on the old scoreboard. And it reminds me a lot of the college football scene, not because in college football you have to win almost every game to win a national title, but here there's only 8 games. There's a very small sample for us to analyze these teams. And Colin pointed out correctly, you can start 2-0 and we're going to praise you because, listen, you're 2-0. But with only 8 games and you go on any kind of losing streak, especially 2 or 3 games, you're in deep doo-doo.
Deep doo-doo. I like the way you subtly got your Alabama plug in there, too. Not many people picked up on that subliminal message you just threw out there about the
I
national.
didn't say that.
Well, that's why it was subliminal.
Over in Schenectady, folks, we're also combining the standings because it's going to be the top 8 out of these 16 teams. But in the 7-team Schenectady division, Labatt Blue and the Tigers both 4-1. And then you have Red Front all in 1 and the Aztecs all at 3-2. They're only a game back of a division lead. So all 5 of these teams, in my opinion, have an opportunity to actually still win the division. Yes, there's 3 games left, but if you win out at 3-2, you know, let's roll the dice and see what happens to the Big Blue and the Tigers. But the Tigers are at 122 and leading the league in offense, and at only giving up 62 points. That's also second in their division in defense. And believe it or not, the Red Front is really the interesting story, Colin, when it comes to point differential. Only scoring 58 points. That's only better than the Warriors, who are 0-5 in their own division, but they give up 50. That's the best defense in the league. So that's an interesting point there, and you'll see that Red Front relies on that defense, even though they have some studs on offense that can get the big hitter when they need it.
I don't recall, so maybe you know. If not, we can ask the insider, the first openly gay guy in CDFFL history, when he comes on the show. Do Labatt Blue and the Tigers, do they play each other, or have they already?
Well, we're going to have to ask him on that. They will play each other if they have not, because everybody, I think, in their division plays each other at least the once. I'm not 100% sure. We're going to ask the insider. Right now, he's got 6 computers going right now. He's got a crack staff of 32 people, so I think he'll come up with this.
Sounded like they were all in the control room at the start of the show, too. Wow.
Yeah, no, there was some kind of religious ceremony that got out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
it's getting a little nutty.
It is getting a little nutty. Anyway, I'm going to turn it back to you, Colin, for C Division. And of course, again, don't want to make this redundant, but it's the huge
Fusillo
size C Division, 32 teams, 3 cities. Take it away.
Well, let's go right from the top. We've got the Armadillos all over the Bloodline, 41-6. Side Door Grill Bombers, 32-7 over the Outlaws. Better start behaving. Team Hope, 12-6 over Austin Hurricanes. Samson's Fighting Irish, 31-0 over the Vipers. Vinny's Barbershop, 36-20 over Philly Bar and Grill. Again, no, I'm not going to do it. Top Form Pelicans, 41-6 over the Avengers. Giuseppe Warriors in our upset of the day, 21-13 over Fuller's Tavern. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I shouldn't have called it an upset of the day, as Giuseppe's 5-0.
Yeah.
But this game was huge for Fullers.
Yeah.
They lost this game. Now they're what? 3-2? 2-3 actually. They're done.
What?
They're done.
You heard it here first, folks. This Week in Flag Football reporter Colin Martin. They're done.
Done.
2-3, done.
Stick a fork in them. They may get the 16th seed.
Okay. You're not taking away that.
I'm not taking them out of the playoff picture altogether.
All right.
But whereas at the start of the season, I thought they were going to be, they along with Samson's, they were going to be in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Done. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
If not now, when? We now know the answer. Never. I'm just saying. Never.
Oof. But it is a nice bar.
It
Go
is.
ahead, Colin.
Continuing
You
on.
live in Rensselaer.
Elbow Room Hawks 35-13 over First Response. Pro Fire KOB 12-7 over Brownell Law Kryptonites. Rotterdam Raiders back on the winning track 20-12 over the Fierce Dirty Birds. SOS 29-12 over Dream Team, followed by SOS 38-26 over the Bombers Thrashers. Now you know what? Last week I said, because I'm a man of my word, SOS, if you win both your games on a doubleheader, I would come on the show and apologize to you, give you guys all the credit in the world for winning your doubleheader. Both of those games were against two quality teams, and we'd invite you onto the show. Unfortunately, the show thing couldn't work out where you couldn't make it here, but I apologize for doubting you. Congratulations on your doubleheader win. You're 5-0. Great job out of you guys to win both of those games and continue on with your undefeated season. Good luck to you the rest of the way.
I actually refereed those games, and I requested to do those games. I'll wait for my camera. They're probably busy doing another show in there.
And there we go.
There we go. Okay, thank you, guys. They're 6-0, that doubleheader, because in Schenectady you got some doubleheaders and some buys. So they're actually 6-0. They made that very clear at the field as they were singing, na, 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 whatever that song is. What's that one where after you're winning the game and it's going to be over?
I don't know, but you stay classy, SOS.
They actually did do a good job, though. They really did. SOS, I'm going to give you guys credit. Maybe it's just because you won both games, but they were losing in the Dream Team game and came back and won. Very respectful. I was there, again, officiating with my partner. Very respectful to the officials the entire day. They had maybe a minor incident with the Thrashers that I had to kind of get everybody aside. But the biggest cryberry team this week goes to Dream Team.
Uh-oh.
Wah,
Uh-oh.
wah. Guys, you see the quote in the newsletter? Win like men, lose like men. When you were winning, the officials were superstars.
Oh,
when you were losing, they were the worst in the league's history.
You left out one part.
Yes.
Play like men.
Play like men.
There you go.
But don't play with men unless you're Rocco Lobin-Tagir.
The first openly gay man in CDFFL history.
Wow.
Yeah. Imagine putting that on a business card.
I think that works.
Listen, we could shrink. We could shrink
Do a
the
lot of
print.
business in San Francisco. Oh, boy.
You can hear him over there. He sounds like he's doing business right now.
Yeah. Don't be a Pepsi bottle.
Let's continue on. Oh, but along the points about you were saying SOS and the singing and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's all in well, good fun. You're undefeated. You deserve to sing a little bit. But just stay off the message board. You don't need to go on the message board and start ranting and raving about how hood you guys are and this, that, and the third. And it's okay to talk smack. And then one breath, you're going to turn around and do something else. It's flag football, dudes. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. Everybody's got to go to work the next morning. As one post said, some of us. I thought,
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Somebody put everybody's got to go to work in the
my
morning.
goodness.
Some of us. And then at that point, I just started cracking up. But what really had me cracking up was when somebody questioned how hood the other guy was. Really? Grow up. You're 6-0. It's
Right.
Flag Football League. Whether or not somebody's hood or not, or too hood or not enough hood. Really? Hood is a mindset, okay? See, now you got me back on my soapbox. Yeah. Hood is a mindset. Just because you grow up there doesn't mean you have to act like you don't have any home training. So you choose to act you choose to act like you're a hood rat, you get treated like a hood rat. I grew up in the hood. I'm not a hood rat. I choose not to act like it. But don't get it twisted. Just because I don't doesn't mean I can't. Oof. I choose not to. Grow up, people. That's what you guys are supposed to be doing. Growing up, moving on.
Yes, we can, Obama. Oh, that's Black Panthers. All right.
I had to go back sometimes.
We're spending a lot of time on
Maggie's Falcons, 21-12 over the Bombers Thrashers. So Bombers get swept in their doubleheader. Followed by Softex, 24-6 over Downfall. Black and White Niners all over Quick Response, 46-13. Joe's Tavern Lamarche Law with a 20-19 victory over Bootleggers Bulldogs. And for the first time in this show, what kind of game was that?
That game was an absolute big-time barn burner.
Followed by the Money Team Savages with a 30-28 victory over LaBella's Pizza for the second time in the show and back-to-back. What kind of game was that?
That game was even more of a big time barn burner.
There you go. That's how they roll over in Troy.
Turn up the flame. Burner.
You don't want to burn it. You don't want to burn the roof.
No, don't ruin. Not wait for the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving into our C Division standings because we're getting a signal that we're running low on time in this first segment. Samson's Fighting Irish, Giuseppe Warriors both 5-0. Armadillos 4-1. Side Door Grill Bombers, Vinny's Barbershop both 4-1 as well. Philly's Bar and Grill and the Elbow Room Hawks with the Avengers at 3-2. Fuller's Tavern, who I've given no more shot at winning the Super Bowl, they're 2-3 with Top Form Pelicans, followed by the Outlaws, First Response, and Team Hoke all at 1-4. Oh, I'm sorry, page 2. I should have looked at the rest of this. Austin Hurricanes Bloodline both 1-4 as well, and the Vipers round out Albany at 0-5. Over in Schenectady, we've got the SOS team 6-0 as previously mentioned, followed by the Dream Team at 5-1, Profire KOB 4-1, Maggie's Falcons, Rotterdam Raiders both 3-3, Rotterdam Raiders and Maggie's Falcons both 3-2, Bombers Thrashers 3-3, Fierce Dirty Birds 0-5, Brownell Law Kryptonites, Golden Retrievers also 0-5.
Fierce Dirty Birds, if I may say real quick.
You certainly
One of the
may.
quote of the weeks after the game, they said we have 5 sets of officials for 5 games this year, so that's 10 officials total, and they all suck.
Wow.
Yeah, not one of them they liked.
Wow.
Can you tell me their record when we get into it, please?
Sure, they are 0-5.
Oh, interesting. Officials' fault. They'd be 5-0.
Listen, 5 games, 5 sets of officials, and all of them sucked. And you're 0-5. I guess you guys suck too. So, I guess the officiating teams aren't the only team that sucks, huh?
Well, I guess everybody was consistent.
Wow. Yeah, they're 0-5, and they're blaming every loss on the refs.
Sure.
Hey, got to blame somebody when you can't look yourself in the mirror and take responsibility like a grown man would. Anyway, let's go over to Troy. We've got Black and White Niners, Soft Tech Soldiers, both 4-1 leading that division. Joe's Tavern, Lamarche Law, Money Team Savages, LaBella's Pizza, all 3-2. Bootleggers Bulldogs at 2-3. Quick Response at 1-4. And Downfall at 0-5. Bet you they're not blaming the refs for their 0-5 mark, are they?
No.
They've taken what's called personal responsibility.
Right.
Frank, take us into our co-ed division.
I would love to. Do you have the paperwork?
I do not.
Because that did not come through.
Oh, Glenn Posca, you are on fire.
But we can talk about it for a minute or two while we finish up our segment here.
We can.
All right. So you and I were both there. You officiated some of the games. Anything that stood out to you?
You know, actually, what stood out to me is that we said in last week's show that Del Lanes, they were kind of up and down. If they play the way they played this weekend, you're going to get the good Del Lanes team, the team that'll make some noise and give people a little bit of a worry come playoff time. If they play like they played earlier in the season when they got dump trucked by the Silver Bullets, it's going to be a problem. And also, Kohlers, they're 4-1. Quiet as it's kept, they're the team, they broke up into 3 separate teams. They're the team that kept the most talent.
Right.
4-1 mark. They're going to make a lot of noise come playoff time.
And let's point out that the Colors just came off a big victory over Riff Raff, knocking them from the unbeaten ranks. And once again, as we mentioned, the Silver Bullets, who lose their first game to Riff Raff, now are making that move and are tied for first place except for head-to-head. But it's going to be a tough battle. The Riff Raff undefeated season is no longer.
And with 3 teams tied at 4-1, not sure who plays each other yet, but that point differential could come into play with the 3 teams.
Yeah, well, Kohlers lost to Silver Bullets, so they are all 1-1.
Aha!
So it is going to come into play. So it's going to be interesting. Folks, we're going to get right into the next segment. We've got our insider coming in. Hopefully he doesn't get too close to each of us here. We'll see you guys in 2 and 2. All right, we're back, everybody. This week in flag football, the round table segment at a square table, rectangle that is. First question, though. Okay, we have Rocco back after a 1-week absence due to malaria, melancholy, and meningitis. Rocco,
And loose bowels.
have you ever been involved with Al Qaeda?
I have not, and I never will be.
Good
Okay,
for you. I'm
because
proud
if
of
you look at you on the screen right now, you're about to chop our heads off. All right, let's get back into some football action, though. We're happy to have him.
Chop
because-
your head off. I could pass for a Muslim. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, true. You might be able to go. I wouldn't say hardcore Afghan, but maybe
No, I
a
like
little
pork
Egyptian.
chops. I love my pork chops. I
You
could
got
never
no
be a
shot,
Muslim.
Frank. You got
No,
no
I
shot.
have no shot.
None.
I'd be like one of those reporters that got his head chopped off. All right. Anyway, folks, we don't want to get too political on this show. There's the Black Panther sign again. We can't have that. Rocco, we wanted you to get a little insight for us. You are the insider. You do a great job at this. The Lanies Philly Bar was Philly Bar, right?
Correct.
Yes, the Philly Bar. I guess they have 2 teams in the league, and thank you for that. Had one of the big games of the year so far. Both teams were undefeated. Philly wins 12-7. How come?
The report I'm getting, it was defense.
Okay.
They basically shut down Lanies except for one broken play, which was a bomb from Carr to CJ. Other than that, they couldn't move the ball. And that was even with the Blaze missing some key personnel. Salih Banks had to play D-line and had 2 sacks and an interception. The 2 scores were J.O. ran one in, and Callahan had the touchdown to seal the game in the second half. And Tony Murray had a great game as well, and they just keep saying defense.
As
Now-
evidenced by the 12-7 score.
This is true.
What's more important is I didn't think this would happen. I thought it was all just a ploy. But you mentioned Cj Tarver did show up,
He did.
and they still lost with him.
And they still lost with him.
All right, that's surprising because he made 1 game with the Panthers, got his release, missed 3 in a row, and came back here. So it looks like he is going to try and get eligible for the playoffs. But when you add a Cj Tarver and you're already undefeated, you think they're going to run the table.
You would think so, but right now we're going to say Gee 1, CJ 0.
But you also have to take into
Nice.
account that he wasn't there for this team all season long. So throw into the mix, yeah, he's a great weapon and everything, but how does that mess with the chemistry? With him coming in for the first time, you're previously undefeated, you throw him into the mix, and like I said, without a doubt, he's a great weapon anyone would have, but he still has to get reacclimated to that team chemistry of what they were doing.
You are stretching it, my man.
Listen.
You
I'm
are.
going to agree with Frank on this
You
one.
are
They lost.
stretching it.
They lost.
Cj Tarver getting acclimated.
They lost. Wow. They lost to a team that's 5-0. Obviously, they've got the better chemistry.
Yeah.
They were playing well without him. No doubt about it. 4-0. No doubt about he's a hell of an asset to have on your team. But when you throw him right into the mix, the team that's already been together, they don't have to make any adjustments. They don't have to get reacclimated. I think, not to say it hurt them, but you said you get CJ and you're surprised that they lost. I'm not surprised that they lost because these teams are so evenly matched anyway. Even with CJ not there, they were still a pretty good team. But you throw CJ in the mix, and we've all said it for the last couple of years, CJ and Gee, they're pretty much going to cancel each other out. So now it comes down to the rest of the team around you who's going to make the plays to win the game. You just ran off a couple of different names. Salih Banks playing D-line, getting sacks and an interception. So CJ is not going to be the difference maker. Usually it comes down to somebody else, whether it's Salih Banks in this case or somebody else other than Gee or CJ when they're on opposing teams.
All right. Well, do we have any information on what key players were missing from the Blaze? You mentioned that.
That was who was missing from the. Just some of their D line was missing. I'm not sure who was missing from Lanies.
Okay, so was it more Laney's missing or Blaze?
I believe it was more Blaze missing. I
Okay.
believe Lanies had most of their key guys at the game.
All right. I mean, Colin brings up a good point. I disagree wholeheartedly just based on what I feel. But again, these are just our opinions. But it is a good point. I just don't think that's the case here. And I'm just incredibly surprised because the guy is almost a scoring machine in some capacity, offense, defense, special teams. And he's like a +7 points for any team, in my opinion, when he steps on the field. Maybe more, depending on who he's playing. But maybe to Colin's point, this is the first time they're playing a team of an equal caliber. Okay, do you understand, Al-Qaeda? Right. Anyway, the other thing we asked Rocco to look into was the Hurricanes and Tigers. Who beat who?
So if you guys remember, I believe it was week 2, close game, hotly contested. The Hurricanes beat the National Kidney Foundation Tigers, which led to player suspension and a lot of drama. So those two teams have already met, with the Hurricanes coming out on top. But I will say if they meet again, it will be one of the best games of the season.
And not to correct you on live TV, but it's Northeast Kidney Foundation.
Northeast
Yes,
Kidney
that's what the NE stands
My
for.
apologies.
No problem. Just want to make sure we get the right sponsors.
Right.
No, that's true. I mean, God knows Colin knows his sponsors, even their addresses. And you did say the Hurricanes came out on top.
Correct.
So you're saying the Tigers were a reluctant bottom
Yes.
in that game. All right, the other
You
thing
would
we
know
asked-
about that.
The other thing we asked you to find out for us is what's the biggest reason Red Front goes from 0-2 to a 3-game winning streak?
Not to badmouth their prior quarterback from weeks 1 and 2, Mike DeJulio,
Who
but
lives
they
with
went
you
out. That is not true.
No, it's not.
They
Don't
went out
feel-
and got.
Don't be mad to correct me on my misspeaking for the last couple of weeks about the line play. I can admit when I did it earlier in the show. I can admit when I make a mistake.
It takes a big man to admit when he's wrong.
That's what she said.
Oh,
Red Front went out and got Billy Chanot from Jiffy Mart, and since Billy's joined the team, they're now 3-0. We said it early on the beginning of the show, week 1, that on paper, Red Front looked like a team of all-stars. They were just missing that last piece, and they seem to have found that last piece. 3-0 since they added Billy Chanot, his brother, and a few others.
and we know you like pieces. Go ahead, Colin.
Now, who's the former quarterback, DeJulio? Where is he now playing? Is
He's
he
in
on the
jail.
team or did
That's-
he get
that's
released?
Not right. No, he's
He is still on the team. He is a great athlete, so I'm sure he's helping out either on offense or defense in a skill position. I know he has experience playing both wide receiver and D-back.
So he goes both ways.
Correct.
All right. So we have games here that we're going to choose from, and these are going to happen in a couple weeks after the Memorial Day break, which I know everybody wants to heal up, get better. If you need to get a hold of Rocco, he'll be in San Francisco. In the A division, we got Beer. They're 3-2. Not a bad record for this team. Third place. They're playing Kohlers 2-3 in fifth place. I believe you hit this one on the head with picking this as the game of the week in the A. And Rocco, since you picked the game, tell us who's going to win.
This is a rematch of the B Super Bowl
Yes.
2 years ago that got Beer won, and they moved up to the A division. After they left, Kohlers ran through the B division last year and moved up themselves. It came down in the beginning when I picked that Super Bowl. I picked Kohlers to win due to the line play. However, I believe that Beer has acclimated better to the 9-man style, while I think Kohlers' roster is better suited for the 9-man style. I'm going to go with Beer to beat Kohlers a second time in their past 2 meetings in the past year.
All right. Is this their first meeting of the year, though?
Correct, yes.
Some teams play each other twice, but not in this case.
All the A division teams who played this past week, play again week 8.
Okay. All right.
Because it was supposed to be weeks 1 and weeks 8 were the same. Due to the rain out week 1, we moved week 1 to week 5. So week 5 and week 8 are the same. And due to some great scheduling by Wags, we matched up Beer and Kohlers twice, the Blaze and Lanies twice, the Panthers and who did they play last week?
Thank you, Rocco. So Colin
Twice.
really drone on about that.
I forgot.
Colin.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say because he took so long.
Oh my God.
But Beer and Kohlers, they're familiar with each other.
Right.
Aside from playing in the B Super Bowls, they played each other for the last couple of years. And I think it just basically it's going to come down to want to and who's going to be able to make an extra play. And in that category, honestly, I'm surprised to see Beer at 3-2 in the A division and Kohlers struggling at 2-3. I think at the end of the game, Kohlers really needs this. I know it doesn't matter for playoffs as everybody makes the playoffs, but you do want to go into the playoffs on a bit of a roll. I don't think they're going to go win in their last 3 or 4 games, but I do think they'll win this game. I think Kohlers is going to get this win. And it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. No, this one is a toss-up, and The only reason I'm going to be picking Got Beer is because I feel like Got Beer is taking this season more serious than Kohler's. I see Kohler's when I officiated them twice now, as I've done with Got Beer. But I mean, they just seem more serious, more focused. They're all showing up consistently, and I think that's a big part. I think Kohler sometimes misses key guys, but they seem to be playing more relaxed, which you would think would be a good thing, but it's not really a good thing right now because of the intensity that the A division brings and the fact that every play means so much to each team because, again, they're great B teams, but imagine these two teams running tables and at least going 7-1 or 8-0 in the Bs, and now you look at their records and you get a really good taste of what that A division is all about talent-wise. So that's my prediction, guys. Got Beer just based on numbers, consistency, and the seriousness of this season for them. B division, Red Front. You guys know I've definitely have a good feeling about this team, and we mentioned about the 3-0 start since Billy Chanot took over, but they're playing the Labatt Blue Hurricanes. Labatt Blue, yes, 4-1, big victory over the Tigers, but they don't seem to have the same I don't know what to call it. Maybe mojo would be the thing that they did 2 seasons ago when they played and ran the table and then lost in the playoffs. Rocco, Tobin, Leger.
I'm going to continue to pick Red Front on their streak. I think both teams are pretty evenly matched. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. Miz for the Hurricanes is a hell of an athlete, but he's still learning the quarterback position. But more importantly, I think the Hurricanes play a little bit of buddy ball. They play some of their friends in some key positions and rotate some key guys. Rotate some key guys off the field, and because of that, I think Red Front's going to be going, balls to the wall the entire game and go straight for their throat.
So you mentioned streaking, buddy ball, balls to the wall. Interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Colin Straight Martin.
Glad you threw that little disclaimer out there. Since Billy Chanot's been put in here, these guys are 3-0, and they're on fire. Notice I didn't use the word streaking. They're on fire with Billy at quarterback. Right. And I think a lot of that goes back to when these guys were Jiffy Mart. A lot of those guys are on this team as well.
Yeah.
So the time to get readjusted, it's not as great as you would think if you were bringing somebody in relatively new who hadn't been there with these guys before. And the fact that they're playing so well right now, I think this is a big, as you would put, big
oh, yeah,
warning sign to the rest of the B division that these guys are legit right now. And I think they're going to keep the roll going, and I think Billy Chanot is going to get them to the 4-2 mark this week, creating a tie, 4-2. The Tigers, this is their opportunity right now. They can take this division by the throat, so to speak, if they handle their business.
I said throat. All right, so look, the game, obviously, I've been really pushing Red Front, and even after their 0-2 start, I did their third game when they first got Billy, got that first victory, and you could tell there was something different about them. He calls a good game. He has scrambling ability. He throws the ball. But I'll tell you what, Miz and Billy Chanot, to me, that's a cancel. I like both of them. I like both of them the way they play. Almost similar in their styles with the scrambling ability, the play calling, the throwing downfield, that type of thing. Remember, Miz, as you mentioned, Rocco, is still learning the quarterback position, but he did have about 10 games with the Hurricanes that one season when they went undefeated until the playoffs. So he's got another 5 under his belt. So there's at least a 15-game mode of what you can call experience for him at that position. Some of the Hurricanes, I don't think, are here from the last season when they went 8-0. Am I right about that?
Most of their key guys are back, actually.
Aside from Anthony Mills, maybe.
Correct.
Okay.
Anthony Mills is no longer with the team.
All right, so Anthony moved on, and I thought he was a solid player, to be honest with you. But look, I think they cancel.
Correct.
Ooh, he must have really screwed up to get kicked off of his own team.
Well, he didn't get kicked off. Let's be honest. He's just white. Now, what happened was, no, he's actually helping out the Crush, and we appreciate that. So I think that the Red Front team is going to get this victory, but don't be surprised if Labatt Blue wins this game. Maybe they take Rocco's suggestion and don't play buddy ball anymore. Maybe they see the writing on the wall. I just had one question for you. Who did the Hurricanes lose to? Does anybody know?
I believe they lost to the Aztecs.
Okay, so that's not a bad. You would call that a good loss.
Correct.
All
If this
right.
was the NCAA March
Right.
Madness, it would be a good
Yeah,
loss.
that's a good loss, actually. C Division, Albany. All right, so that's our prediction for A and B, folks. Armadillos 4-1. Vinny's Barbershop 4-1. We invited a couple guys from the Vinny's Barbershop team. Rookie team going 4-1 in Albany, knocking off Philly Bar, another 3-1 team last week. Now they have to face the Armadillos. Great matchup here. Remember, Doug McBride is the quarterback of the Armadillos. Rocco Legere Tobin.
So, given that
Legere.
I knew this was going to be the game of the week, I reached out to Philly Bar and Grill and asked them because they played both teams.
Right. You did that for scouting reasons, not for the show.
Correct.
Thank you.
And I asked, which team was harder, and they said that Vinny's was actually. I hate you, Colin Martin. They said that Vinny's Barbershop was the more difficult opponent. I would have picked the Armadillos, but given based on the information I had, I'm going to go with the upstart Vinny's Barbershop,
Wow.
Pete Louisi, and the young kids, young boys, if you will, from Colony and CBA.
Oh, my God.
Come on,
I might as well
Sandusky.
feed right into
Come
it.
on, would you? Holy
Oh, he said
Sandusky.
harder and young boys and everything else. Colin, straighten this up.
Whew. I'm going to go with Doug McBride's team.
Yeah.
The experience that he has, he's a veteran of the league. He knows how to play. He knows how to call a good game. And he knows how to get everybody involved and put them in the right positions when he's calling his offense. I think the experience that he has is going to make it so much more harder for the other team to stop them. He's just going to be able to do what he wants at will. And he's just going to spank them. So I'm thinking that
Wow.
they're going to take this one by 2 touchdowns.
He said spank. All right, so we've got an Armadillo Vinny Barbershop game. Again, both teams 4-1. The reason I'm going to agree with Colin is pretty much the same point. You got the experienced quarterback. The guy is 72 years old. He's overweight, even though he weighs 135. Figure that one out.
Go figure.
But no, all in all, Doug McBride is so good with his leadership skills. So I think what's going to happen is you get a Vinny's team. If they get down by a score, I think the young kids start to implode, hopefully inward and not outward. And then, Armadillos may run away with it. So, I mean, Colin's saying that, are you saying that it could be a blowout game?
I wouldn't call 14 a blowout, but it's not going to be a field goal game.
right.
I'd say it
Yeah.
within about 10, 14 points.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Vinny's goes up early, then it's going to be a tight game. Armadillos go up by 1 or 2 scores. Vinny probably explodes all over the place. And we're all over the barbershop. And then, they're going to get the loss on that. So, again, I go with the Armadillos. So it's 2-1 on that. Rocco likes Vinny's Barbershop just based on the age of the kids. C Division in Schenectady, we have Pro Fire KOB franchise 4-1 against Maggie's Falcons 3-2, a team that is inconsistent but dangerous. Legere? Rocco?
Leger.
Insider information tells me that Maggie showed up to their game with only 8 or 9 guys this week.
I have that same inside information.
However, they beat the Thrashers, who are a very good team with one of the best offenses in the C's. Profire, KOB, franchise, whatever name you want to call them, they keep showing up every week and grinding out wins. I'm going to go with Profire KOB just because at this point in the season, you need numbers, you need guys to show up. Maggie's great effort this week. I don't think you'll be able to duplicate it.
Interesting, and that's the inconsistency. Colin?
I don't know what to I can't make Maggie's out. I cannot get a read on them. I pick them to win, they lose. I pick them to lose, they win. I don't know what he said. I'm just going to go. You can't keep coming on shorthanded and playing with that much effort and heart because ultimately it's going to drain your team. You're just not going to be able to do it week in, week out. And you're already inconsistent to begin with. So to come with numbers that are inconsistent, I think it's just going to be too much. So I don't think Maggie's is going to win. I think Profire is going to win this. But somehow I think Maggie's manages to keep it close. But Profire takes it in the end.
Yeah.
That's a poor choice of words.
I can't believe they're going to take it in the end. Listen, I'm agreeing with these guys, and I'll tell you why. Maggie's defeated the Thrashers, but the Thrashers lost a huge emotional game right before they had to play Maggie's this past Sunday. I think they were shot at that point. They shot everything all over the field, and at that point they just were dead. And they had to go in, face a Maggie's team. They probably didn't have the emotion that they wanted. They're going from a wet grass field to a turf field, too.
So they couldn't get back up for the second game?
They couldn't get it back up for the second game. And, you know, that's the reason I think that Maggie's gets that victory. So it's an aberration to me that they got that. Maggie's, of course, can beat anyone and lose to anybody, but we got a clean sweep, gentlemen. Profire KOB franchise wins this one. C Division Troy, and things get real interesting. I like this part of the year when you're down to only a couple games because we have a good sample here to choose from. Soft Tech Soldiers 4-1, Money Team Savages, the team that is the talk of Troy right now at 3-2. Rucko.
I'm going to take Money Team Savages. They've already beaten the two best teams in the division, in my opinion, Lights Out, or Labella's Pizza Lights Out, whatever you want to call them, and the Niners, not the 49ers. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say MVP so far of the C Division is Jamel Flip Tarver from Money Team Savages. Without him, I'm not sure they'd have a win. Right. He holds the team together with his ability to run and throw, not unlike Miz and Chanel that we talked about earlier in the B Division. Right. So I'm going to see Money Team Savages keeps their push to the top going, and they get the win.
Interesting.
I can't give him the MVP, though. He's already been in the C Super Bowl. I believe he's even won a C Super Bowl.
Correct.
He's played really well in the B divisions, almost as dominant as he was in the C division. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't quote me 100%, but I even think he played in the A division.
You're correct. Yes.
So if you're that talented that you can play and hold your own in the A division, there's no way in the world I'm going to give you the C division MVP. You should be in the A division. That being said, congratulations to him and his team for coming together. As you mentioned, they knocked off the two of the best teams in the entire Troy division. So they can play and beat anybody on any given Sunday, as the old cliche goes. But I think this week is going to be too much for them. I don't see them being able to pull it off because they got on a hot streak and they've been playing really, really well. But in the end of the day, I don't think they're going to be able to get this game. I think Soft Tech stiffens up, and they get the win. Yeah. They get the win over the Money Team Savages.
I think they're going to remain soft, these soldiers, because of the saltpeter in their food. But Money Team...
They have a lot of experience with that.
Yes. So Money Team, look, Colin, I'm kind of surprised at your prediction because they not only beat the two best teams thus far in the Niners and the Lights Out team, but this is the third best team. Now, if you can get three in a row, and I think they can at this point, I think they're going to be the team to beat. I would love to know who they lost to early in the season to get the two losses after beating these teams.
They lost to Joe's Tavern in a game that was decided by less than a touchdown.
Another 3-2 team.
And I believe they lost to the Bootleggers Bulldogs, but I'm not 100% sure.
And a 2-3 team right beneath them. One team tied with them, one team right below them.
So it's not like this team was bad and all of a sudden got a lot better. But I'm going to go with Money Team. I do want to make a comment, though. The Tarver thing is an interesting point that Colin brings up. I think Rocco and I are on one side of the equation where, look, if you're playing in the C, you can win MVP, whereas Wags has always said, and Colin seems to be in agreement, that no, if you've been in the A division, you can't be an MVP. So there's been a debate going on.
Well, let me clarify my stance.
Okay.
Because, 23, 24 years old, 25, he's still in the prime of his career. So he can play in the A division and hold his own. Now, if you take somebody in the A division, let's say Joe Smith, and he's 42, 43 years old, and he's down there just to play the game, just to continue. If he does things so well that he brings together a team and gets up there and wins the Super Bowl, then yeah, he played in the A division 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. Yeah. Now he's just out there playing. So I would consider him more than I would consider someone who's still in the prime and still able to play well in the A division.
So Sean Condy would not be able
not
to
even a little bit.
Okay, all right. That's been a big debate.
For the past few years.
Rocco, anything on that topic?
I tend to agree that I don't like to see downward movement when guys are really talented. However, at some point, if you are carrying a team, I almost feel like you have to give them the MVP.
Right.
They're following the rules. They sat out enough season, were in jail enough seasons, whatever, to drop down to the C division. So I got to give them their props. I would much rather pick a natural C player, if you will, for MVP. But given how Flip is playing, that's my pick. So
Listen, you can say natural in anything, but because he's black doesn't mean he's not natural. Is that what you meant?
that is not what I meant.
See, I was
I
worried
meant
about the
natural
jail.
as-
I was worried about the jail reference.
Who
Is
the
that where
heck-
you ran into people?
Who the heck is saying that Flip is 23 or 24?
No, I
don't
was
buy
just using that as a number
Oh,
because he's
okay.
still in his prime. He
Oh,
can't be any
all
more
right.
than 27.
All right. Is that jail years or just no? I'm just
You'd have to
kidding.
ask
That's
the
not true.
you'd have to ask the
That's-
guy with the loose bowels about
No,
the jail
that's-
references.
Oh my.
That's not true. It was meningitis.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
All
it was
right,
men
folks.
in you. That's what it was.
Listen, everybody have
Meningitis.
a great holiday weekend. Don't forget to check the message board for all the times and different stations that we're on. For Colin Martin, Rockin' Tobin Legere, I am Frank Rogers. We will see everybody in a couple weeks. Thank you to all of our fans.
You misrepresented him, the first openly gay guy in CDFFL history.
Never quit.
Right now, hard determination.